Welcome, fight fans, to the Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast. Your Fight Talk Authority. Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard ORTIZ.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole ESCOVEDO. Streaming live and worldwide. Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast.
And we are live once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, guys. For those of you just tuning in, this is the Fighter's Voice, a kick-ass podcast. I am running it solo today. Our main man, the co-host with the most that I like to call the man in charge, Richard ORTIZ. He is having knee surgery. Is that what's going on, KP? He's having knee surgery. He did it at, what, 5 a.m.? Something goofy like that. Like, he had to go through the whole 9 yards. So he's having surgery, so we wish him speedy recovery. Richard will most likely be back next week, guys, with you running the ship, running the show, giving you your content, giving you your flow. You know how he likes to do it. So just remember, guys, I'm running solo this week, but even though I'm running solo, I'm never running without a shotgun rider. This week I've got fresh off his UFC 250 Fight Night bonus victory. I'm not sure what you want to call that, man. It's Alex Perez, UFC roster. Guys, let's go and welcome in. Alex, how are we doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing great.
Good.
Just
so, hey,
out in Vegas.
when you got word that you were getting Fight Night bonus, was it a surprise? Like, I kind of saw an article that said you were kind of surprised about it. Like, would you just not expect it because of the Garbrandt and, like, the O'Malley fight and stuff?
Well, I didn't know that they can do 4 performance of the night's bonus. I mean, technically they can do what they want.
Yeah.
You know? But, I mean, I've seen some other guys that, you know, were in the running as well. The fight, I mean, the card was good. Top to bottom.
Oh yeah, dude,
that's everywhere and everything. So I was like, man, when Jason told me, I was like, get out of here. He's like, no, for real.
Nice.
And
so
then,
that,
like 10 minutes later, I text him again, and then he was like, I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. And then they sent me a picture of me getting the bone. You know, when they announced it, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Like,
Dana announced it at the press conference, the post-fight press conference, which I'm sure you knew before then, but he announced it, and I was like, oh, dude, yeah, my boy Alex got a bonus. So, like I said, we were talking about that off camera a little bit. When you're dealing with that many zeros, you know, you got to start to be really smart on it. You really have to start to think in a much different scope as far as like what you're doing with your purses and how you're getting it. And you were telling me that you were able to incorporate yourself, which is something the UFC recommended to all of us when we did the Fight Summit, like, you know, Fight Summit. When we did that back in like 2001 or something goofy like that, 2011, they did the same thing. They suggested you incorporate yourself, get an LLC, make yourself a business, a brand, things like that. Is that kind of the path you're taking to help build your brand as a whole and extend it into other things just besides fighting?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I have my management team, Iridium Sports, you know, they have some of the best guys on staff, and Lance, one of their guys, is helped me out with that. He, you know, got me all the paperwork, everything, kind of walked me through it, and you know, thankful for that because yeah, man, it's always good to save money.
It's good to save money, and it's not that you're saving money, it's that, like I was saying, there's so many zeros at that level. I mean, you're getting 2 back-to-back 50K bonuses. I mean, that's 100K. Like, under normal circumstances, Uncle Sam's going to take a big, deep, wet chunk out of your ass. But at least if you take steps like creating an LLC, making yourself a business, taking the proper steps to ensure that you're getting basically you're not saving money. You're just making sure that you get the most money for the effort that you put in. Because those 8-week fight camps, that costs time, that costs money, that costs effort. Like, that's an investment into yourself. So you're basically growing your own brand. You just happen to be a fighter, and that happens to be your business model.
Yeah, man. You know, I did some research, and then, like I said, I have one of the best, if not the best, management team out there, and those guys are on top of everything. You know,
Jeremy Lukow and Jason House.
Yeah, it's Jeremy Lukow, Jason House, Lance, and then Jacob. There's some of the guys on there, and then they also have another guy, Ed. So those guys, you know, are a great team, great unit, and they work well together. And those guys, anything we need, I mean, I've called them and asked them for things. They're like, give me 10 minutes.
That seems to be, well, I mean, you know, Jeremy and we have a great relationship. I call him up or shoot him a text, be like, hey, I really want Alex on the show Wednesday. Can you find a way to get him on the show? And he's like, I'm on it. And sure enough, I get you him up. We go, hey, dude, Wednesday, we could do this. I'm like, yes, I love it. So I've heard nothing but good things about those guys, especially like back in the day, man, it was just managers got you fights, managers got you sponsors. Now I'm hearing that like the next level of sponsor is getting you your training covered. In some cases, for some guys, their living conditions. All this kind of stuff is becoming like the norm as far as the competitive landscape of management companies is. But have you noticed that change, or do you feel it's just them doing a good job as far as negotiating your fight contracts and your sponsorships of any kind?
So for me, like, I started fighting back in 2010, so sponsorships were a lot different than what they are now. You know, sponsorships back then was like, oh, you want me to sponsor you? Here's $50 and a pair of shorts and a shirt, you know? You're like, oh man, that's the best thing ever.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Now you're starting to get more product, and you're starting to get money, and you're also starting to get different things, you know, like good things. I feel like everybody complains about paying people, and I just feel like you gotta pay the people that help you.
You have to, 100%.
Some people go to different managers for different reasons, you know. I've been with Jeremy and Jason. I've been with the Iridium team since my very first amateur fight.
Yeah, dude, you
did. In 2010. Way
back in the day. That's why we always tell people, man, Jeremy had like this blueprint and like this vision and this goal. He was like, I'm going to get Alex to like the best I can get him. It was never like, oh, I'm going to get this guy. He's going to be really good. He's going to make a bunch of money. No, it was just, how do I get Alex from A, which is a dream, to B, which is the end goal? And he did everything he could to make sure that every step, like he literally drew like this blueprint. I'm always telling people, man, I go, you want to have the blueprint to success in MMA, you go talk to Jeremy. Like, he's the guy that can like mold and help direct a path of somebody that's driven. You know, somebody like you that has a dream and a desire and the work ethic to chase that dream. He's like, here's what we got to do, man. Just do it and we'll get it done. And like I always tell people, you're the perfect example of that. And that's why I love when you go winning, kicking people's asses, bro. Because I'm just like, see, the blueprint works, man. You got to trust the blueprint. Alex is a perfect example. Like, he's taking the necessary steps. He's not rushing. He's not doing anything out of craziness. He's just staying focused and, you know, just staying the course. And that's really what I try to tell young fighters today. So, you know, when you see little guys, tell them, man, stay the course. Don't go all bananas. Don't go McGregor.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, because, like, you know, growing up, I remember, like, growing up in the sport, you know, I've been around for a long time, and I remember getting paid $300 to fight, man, and now guys are complaining because they're getting paid $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Like, I didn't make $1,000 until, like, my, you know,
fourth or fifth fight. Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
I didn't even know I was getting paid. It's crazy.
People complain about it, and I'm like, dude, like, sometimes the win is more important than the money. To me.
Yes,
that's the way I was brought up.
Sometimes you need that W against that level of an opponent more than whatever it is they're paying you. Like that because that win gets you the big fight.
Experience. It's experience. You need the experience. And then sometimes you see people, man, this company's only sponsoring me $200. Man, that's $200 you didn't have. You know, some people think like, oh, well, I'm still, you know, I'm working a full-time job and doing like everybody has a struggle in the sport. I remember working full-time jobs and training full-time. You know, like that was the way it was, man, and that's the way it is for everybody. Not everybody thinks like, well, I'm the only one. It's like, no, you're not the only one doing that. Everybody in this fight game
has done that.
Is sacrificing something.
Yeah,
whether
well,
it's time with the family,
the real ones,
work, sleeping in the car, sleeping at gyms. Everybody's doing it. It's not that uncommon. And some of these guys just get all crazy, get Conor McGregor status, believe that they're bigger than what they are, and that's cool, but that's only going to get you so far. You burn bridges in this game. It's a small community, and it will come back to bite you. It
definitely can. No, I've 100% experienced that. I've had experiences before with that, with promotions back in the day, where you like talk to one guy and you had a disagreement with a promoter, and you're venting about it to another fighter who asks you like, hey, what's it like to fight for them? You're like, well, this was my experience. And the next thing you know, you're like off a card, and you're like, what the hell? People don't understand that, like, you got to take the fights you can for what they're paying you. And necessarily when you get to a certain level, now you got to start expecting a value scale for what you're bringing. But when you mention, you know, sponsors and guys giving you $200 and this and like that, I saw an article that said that the Reebok deal with the UFC was up for either renegotiation or cancellation. Have you heard anything about that? And if so, if they choose to not renew it with Reebok, how do you think that'll change the landscape for you as far as sponsors goes? I imagine it would open more doors than anything.
I feel it would open more doors. I feel the Reebok deal is great for some guys, and some guys don't have the revenue or the connections to get like big time sponsors. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, my management company, they have. I mean, we got companies that they sponsor us nonstop. So I can only imagine what they would do with being able to get your own shorts, get print on them, things like that.
More access.
So,
They've got a network.
It's like some guys can do great with it, some guys can do great without it. It's just like a hit or miss. I'm guessing on the person and on the management team, or some guys don't even have managers. So it just depends what they can do by themselves.
I remember rolling dirty like that for shit. I don't think I actually got a real manager until I hit the UFC. I think I rolled dirty with just Pop like the whole time. We were just like, how much? Whatever. T-shirts, cool. Like we were negotiating video games, bro. Like that's what you had to do back then. I had a fucking fight at Save Mart Center one time. I walked out and I wrote your logo here on my shirt, and it was for Strike Force, I think, or something. And everybody was blown away. They're like, how do you walk out to that kind of a fight and you don't have sponsors? I'm like, I don't know. I just show up and fight. So
exactly. That's the way it is. That's why it was.
Yeah, and that's why I don't see. I'm same page as you as far as why people complain. Like I understand it costs money, but it doesn't cost any more now to train and fight than it did 10 years ago. Which, okay, I take that back. Maybe it does. Technically, economics have changed and stuff, so maybe it costs a little more. But it's still not really costing you any more than it cost us back then. You just have to find ways to make it work. And if you have to work and train, then so be it. We used to have the Evangelista brothers used to fight at the Palace, and then George would go to work because he's got a forklift job that night. Wouldn't even get to celebrate. So it's doable, So everybody out there that says, "Oh, I can't do it. I need to," dude, bro, you can have if you want it bad enough.
Definitely, like I said, I was working jobs. I was working in the fields at one point in time. I was cutting grass. I was building the 559 Fights cage.
Mm-hmm.
I was freaking working at a freight company. You name it. I was working at a restaurant. I was coaching wrestling and still finding time to train.
Yeah. Because you can.
It's just how bad. It's just as bad as you want it. And that everybody's gonna be tired at the end of the day, but it's whoever does the most is gonna get the most out of it.
Yeah, if you're willing to put in that little extra. And every day, even if it's just a little extra every day, that will come back for you in a positive light. So, but hey, man, let's talk about the fight. Like I was looking down when you blasted his knee the first time, and I thought you cracked him. I thought that's what I heard, and then I heard ooh, and I looked up and he was going backwards. I was like, oh shit, he landed. And then I watched it on the replay, and it was you blasting him in the leg. Like blowing his knee out for that first kick, man. Were you aware that you had done that much damage? Because he looked wobbly like you had hit him. But then he went down. I'm like, dude, you kicked him in the leg. What happened? Why is he all wobbly?
No, I mean, the only reason I kind of knew, I knew he was hurt was just because he kind of winced in pain. But, yeah, man, like I said, I trained at Team Oyama, one of the best Muay Thai coaches and MMA coaches in the world, with Coach Colin and and Romy and those guys, and I add things to my game all the time. I'm only getting better, only improving every time I fight. So just another thing in my on my belt.
Yeah, and you noticed it right away because he went down. And you didn't even follow him in. I saw you wave him back up, and I tapped my buddy next to him. I was like, dude, bro, he's going to finish him. Watch. He wants him back up. Because you're just like, no, get up. Because you realized, from your experience, you're like, I hurt you. That hurt. Now I'm going to make you suffer. Because he limped up and tried to switch legs and move forward again, and you just blasted it again, and he just went down. Like the ref did him a favor, and I was like, dude, yes. So it's that experience to see the damage and know, versus an inexperienced fighter or a newer fighter might run in and chase him to the ground and end up getting rolled or submitted or something.
Yeah, like I said, I have so many fights that it's just, the experience that does add up, and it's always like a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear your corners, especially being no audience, but it's just about the experience, man. I've been in there a lot, and just the experience of that, and I'm cornering people. I'm watching, fights all the time. I watch fights every day, like on my UFC Fight Pass. I just put it on and watch guys I like and just watch different fights. You know, just see what they're doing, just seeing what you can do better, or what you can add to your game. So it's all that experience just adds up.
Yeah, just watching film. Like a quarterback just sits around and watches film all day because he wants to know every running back, every wide receiver, every defensive end. What do they do? What don't they do? Where are they bad? Like, you just have to contain all that data. So speaking of studying tape and stuff, have they told you when they'd like you to saddle back up again? Have they given you an idea? Because I imagine everybody's chomping at the bit to get on a card right now, and they're going to be doing them like a couple in 1 week, aren't they? Aren't they doing like 4 in 1 week?
Yeah, they haven't told me anything yet. You know what I mean? It's kind of just fresh off the win. But I mean, I'm staying ready, man. A lot of young guys after they win, they win a fight. They're 1-0, 2-0. They start acting like rock stars. I'm back. I got back in the gym Sunday afternoon. I mean, I woke up, ran in the morning about 40 minutes, and then got back to the gym. I mean, I'm just helping people out, like drilling with them, nothing crazy. But I'm still in there getting better, watching them hit pads, asking questions why they're doing certain things, and
trying to absorb, trying to learn.
I'm just trying to get back in there as soon as possible. Obviously the title fight.
If you had a choice between taking a fight, let's say, what is this, June? We're in like mid-June right now. So let's say you had a choice of taking a fight in early to mid-July, or you wait until mid-August, but it's Fight Island. Which would you rather take?
Man, I'm down to fight next week.
But Fight Island, bro.
I get paid to fight, man. There's the opportunity to cash in on some things. But
well, I mean, literally.
Man. It's now it just comes to I'm my rankings went up. People are talking about it. So it's kind of my advantage to take whether I jump back in there or wait for a title shot or do something like that, So I just got to wait and see. And I talk to my manager and coaches and see what the best plan is.
I agree. You've definitely built some momentum right now. Now, if they did offer you a fight on the short turnaround, I mean, you're healthy and uninjured, I would definitely suggest take it because you've got the momentum. Dana White said, I bet everybody on those cards right now needs to be putting on a fucking show because everybody's watching it. They're the only sports on TV right now. Everybody's watching. So these household names, like take Cody Garbrandt, for example. He was a pretty good name fighter and everybody liked him before, but now all these new fans that are just watching because it's sports and they just watched him fucking starch Rafael. I mean, dude. And then they watch you blowing dudes' knees out and it makes it on TV. I mean, your guys' stock is just going to shoot right now. So, yeah, I would agree with you. The short turnaround would be in your best interest because of that momentum you're building.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like it's just a game of how ready are you. You know, when this whole quarantine started, people took vacations, which is cool. Like this, gyms weren't open, but man, I was running every day. I was trying to eat clean. I was
stay and maintain shape.
Hitting pads outside, So I was staying in shape.
Yeah, because why not? I mean, because eventually that phone's gonna ring. Like Dana White literally did everything he could.
Yeah, like some of these young guys. I mean, I don't know if they've seen, but LFA's coming back. I think next month.
Yeah, July 10th. Yeah, so mark that, guys. July 10th. That's going to be the next LFA. It's Ed Suarez's show, so stay tuned for that, guys. Check out that website.
Yeah, you just don't know what some people don't want to fight during this time, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean?
True.
It's a personal choice. Some guys are worried about the coronavirus, which is it is something to be worried about. Some people are like, hey man, I need to make money. This is a great opportunity to make some money. If you're not worried about it, or if you feel like you're healthy enough to do it, do it.
I mean, if you can, why not? This is an opportunity to make money. Not only make money, but like I said, everyone's watching. So build your brand. Like this is the perfect opportunity to have all eyes on you guys as almost the only fighters that are being on there. Because if somebody turns down a fight, there's like 3 guys waiting to take that spot. So it's gonna be crazy.
Like I said, it's a. There's people always waiting, man. Like it's funny because people are like, "Oh, what do you think now that John Jones and all these guys are gonna fight?" I was like, "Guess what? It's gonna be someone behind them that's willing to make some money right now."
Yeah, the next superstar is just waiting.
Yeah, and can you blame someone for taking an opportunity, to make money? No, especially at this time.
Not in this business. Not in this business.
Yeah,
So,
especially people aren't working, stuff like that. So this is the best time to be in shape.
so the last question I'll bug you with, Alex, and I'll let you go get ready for practice, man. I appreciate you giving me your time. Is the no audience thing? How much of a difference did you feel that made? Because I've gone through the same curtain from walkout to hands up. It's different with that crowd noise. Like, it energizes you. And some people say they can just hear the cornerman, but when you can hear nothing, it almost sounded like being in Japan. Like, could you hear your cornerman a lot easier? Could you hear their cornerman easier?
Yeah, you can hear everything. For me, it didn't really bug me. You know, because like I kind of reminded myself of like high school when we had wrestling dual meets and there'd be like 10 people there. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
And basically, this is a staff. You walk out, you wrestle, and then you're back. You know, so it wasn't nothing crazy to me. It's actually a lot easier because man, when I'm walking out, like when I walked out in Fresno or LA or something, man, I can hear my family yelling. I can hear everybody like, man, I'm like trying to focus, but I can hear all these, you know, all these voices I'm familiar with, things like that. It's like, oh shit,
right?
Something's going on right now, you know?
Yeah.
Where this time it was just like me. Okay, I'm breathing, I'm relaxed, a lot more relaxed. So I think it was a little bit easier.
Just to kind of focus on the moment, maybe. Kind of that's it. I'd be interested to pick a couple other guys' brains and see how that felt. But that's a cool perspective then, man. All right, guys. Well, like I said, Alex Perez, fresh off his UFC 250 finishing win, guys, blowing out that guy's knees. That's back-to-back wins. That's back-to-back bonuses. Like I said, he's ready to fight. Silva, guys, you know, let's get him back in there. Let's get him another fight. I personally would rather see him in Fight Island just because I like the sand and I need an excuse to take a vacation somewhere. So, but other than that, brother, I appreciate you going on, man. Real quick, before you leave us, though, where can they follow you? Where can they watch you? How can they stay tuned on what is next for Alex Perez?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. You guys can find me on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Alex Perez MMA. You know, hit me up, ask me questions, things like that. I try to do my best to get back to everybody as fast as possible. Just thank you guys for having me. Thank you to the Central Valley for all the support. Leamore, thank you guys for all the support. Just thank my family, my team, my management team, my teammates, my coaches. Thank you guys. Without you guys, I definitely wouldn't be here.
Cool. All right, brother. Go have a good practice, man. We appreciate you letting us steal your time. Tell Jeremy and Jason I said hey, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Later, Al. Bye.
Later.
All right, guys. There you go. That was Alex Perez, fresh off his UFC 250 win. Now, that was a big win for Alex. And if you listen to what he said, guys, he was really understanding the timing right now. With the C-19 and the way sports are going, Dana White said it best. They are literally the only ones playing ball right now. Like, I know baseball, NBA, they were talking about getting started here, kicking off like around it was like August or October or something. They're going to kick off soon, but everyone's coming to him just to kind of get an idea of, okay, well, what did you do here? How'd you get over this barrier here? Like, they're literally having to pick their brains out. Imagine the WWE is not far behind them either as far as people wanting to know what their infrastructure is, what steps are they taking, how are they going about things. But yeah, if you're on any fight roster right now, you need to be ready. If you have a promoter that you regularly fight for, you need to be ready. California is starting to open back up. It's been slow and way too slow, but it is opening back up, and you're going to have restrictions. You're going to have protocols and things like that. But the UFC is doing it. Like, they're showing that the business model, at least within our industry, as what your job is, fighters, it's doable. So, like Alex said, and what I saw Ed Soares posted, I want to say July 10th is what it's looking like for the next LFA, at least announcement of what they're going to be doing. I don't know if that was a show or if that was going to be just an announcement. So check out their Facebook page, check out their Instagram, Legacy Fighting Alliance. Check them out, guys. Let them know what you think. Get some feedback on that, and you know, update yourselves. But other than that, guys, we've got things like crazy, like Alex was talking about. You've got UFC's John Jones and Conor McGregor both saying that they're going to like retire, and that, you know, Conor already announced his retirement. Jones has already asked for his release. And I begged the question last time we were talking about this, guys, where would guys like Jones go? I mean, a guy like Demetrius can go to one in Japan and be, you know, successful just because it's Demetrius, it's DJ, it's Mighty Mouse. The dude's going to be successful no matter where he goes. And in that market, he already had a huge following. Like, DJ was already big overseas, so that just kind of made sense. Matt Heem was like, 2 + 2 = 4. Why not? So, excuse me, but with a guy like Jones, where does he go? A guy like Jones can't go somewhere where he's just going to be top dog, just kicking everybody's ass and just grinding through like it's nothing. one fight, maybe two, but he's going to get bored of that. Regardless of your personal feelings on Jones or how you see him or how I see him, even my own personal bias against him, he's done some good lately. He's been trying to change his outer cage image. He's trying to extend his hand into society a little more and say, look, I know I screwed up. I know I made mistakes. Not necessarily asking for another chance because he doesn't think he needs another chance. He doesn't need us to approve what he's doing. That's the beauty of it. It's his life. He doesn't need our approval. But what I do like is that he is going out of his way now to try to garner some positivity back, trying to gain fans back, if you will, by saying, look, I know I screwed up, but hey, I'm trying. I'm trying to make changes. I'm trying to be better outside of the ring. I'm trying to take ownership of the perspective that I've given people based on my, what he would probably claim would be irresponsible, immature action choices and stuff. And he's lived up to them. I mean, he's trying. At some time, it looked like he was going to go the heel route, kind of, and just kind of take that heel, as the DC war was kind of going on. But it is what it is. At the very least, he looked inside himself and said, hey, some changes will be made. Or maybe he said, I don't need to make changes. But he's addressing it, regardless of what the reason was. As a competitive guy, he's so high up there on a competitive level, I don't see him being able to really go anywhere. One of my buddies, Frankie, was saying, oh, well, you've got Bader, you've got this guy. I personally think he'd beat Bader. I think he'd beat Bader within 2, to be honest. And then after that, there's not really many for him. They just kind of lack experience. I think the combined total fights of like the guys that we're looking at for him were like 30 fights between like 3 guys, like 3 or 4 guys. What's whole like 30 fights, wins, losses, etc. I just don't see Jones going there. So when he says things like, oh, well, cut me loose, I mean, they're obviously not going to cut him loose. The money they would spend to keep him pales in comparison to the money they would lose by allowing him to go somewhere else. Because the second they allow him to go somewhere else, and he's out of that contract, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, at least in the back of the heyday, you would leave the UFC, or they would cut you loose and say, look, we're not going to give you any more fights. We think you should go win, get a couple wins somewhere else, and then come back, and we'd love to have you back. But they also tell you, hey, if you're going to take a fight anywhere within the next like X amount of years, let us know. Because if you're going to take a fight, we might have a spot for you on a card in that same time frame in which we'd like to exercise our right to use you, which at that time is a good thing. I mean, if you have a fight outside of the UFC because they've cut you loose and you've announced a fight and you're going to take a fight, or you hit up Joe Silva or whatever, whoever you need to, and you say, hey, I'm going to take this fight with this organization on this day. You told me to contact you guys. And they say, oh, wait. Actually, dude, if we could use you the week after in San Diego or something on a card, it's a fight night card, we'd love to have you on. If you don't jump at that opportunity, I don't know what to tell you. You'd be like, I wouldn't know what to tell you. I wouldn't know how to support that decision, because even though you have to turn down a fight with the promoter and you have to tell the fighter sorry, like, if I had a fight coming up, I've had guys fall out for goofy shit too. I've had guys fall out for things like, I just decided I didn't want to fight. I didn't like the purse that I already agreed to, or the best one, the all-time, this is my favorite. It was my 21st birthday, and the weigh-ins for that fight was on my birthday, like my 21st birthday. So I didn't even get to drink on my 21st birthday. Like, that was a bucket list that you never get to experience. So I'm fighting, and I get a call from like Reed at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Reed's like, hey, bro. Your dude's blood work came back bad for some reason, so we had to scrap your fight. And I'm just like, oh. So I go downstairs and it's omelets and shots. But what I'm saying is you have to be able to jump at those opportunities. So I've had fights pull out and cancel on me the last minute for the goofiest of shit. But if the promoter, I would prefer the fighter did it, but if the promoter called me or the fighter called me and said, hey, the fight we were gonna have in like 2 weeks or even a week, sorry, he's got to pull out. He had another obligation. At least, I mean, I would hope the promoter would tell me the truth. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But at the very least, I would expect the fighter to hit me and say, hey, here's why I had to cancel our fight, bro. I hope you understand. Because if a guy told me that he got a call to go back to the UFC and then he was going to have to pull out of our fight to do it, provided I see you on that pay-per-view card, bro, or even that fight night card, dude, kosher. I don't care. Good for you. That's an opportunity to further his career and step forward and go back the direction he was wanting to go in the first place, which is where we all want to go as fighters. I don't know a single fighter that's, at least anyone that's taking it seriously, that signs up and goes, I'm going to fight the farm league for a while and then I think I'll call it quits. No. Now, some do, but it's not because they didn't have a vision of wanting to get to a certain point. Some of them do it because they get to a certain point and they're like, this just isn't for me. or you know what, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. And some people will just stop at that point, and that's fine. But there's those that want to keep going, and you can't get mad at them for wanting to do it. So if they call you and said, hey, but like I said, long story short, you have to be ready to take fights. Whatever the organization is, whatever your scenario is, you can't really have an excuse. You had Alex that even told us he was going on road work. He was, doing wrestling stuff on his own, bag work. You could do all this stuff on your own. Should you do it with your coaches? Yes, obviously you should do it. You don't build bad technique. But there shouldn't really be an excuse, let alone an excuse of I have to work. Okay, I get it. But unless you're going to tell me that you're working 16-hour shifts every day, which granted, I know some of you dudes are, power to you. You guys are gangster. But like 85 to 95% of the guys that are fighters that have jobs aren't doing that. They're working a 9 to 5. Or even if you're working a night job. Sucks. Use after your workout, get some sleep, get up and go. Like, it's all doable. Like, there's really no... the only excuse is if you don't want to achieve that goal. If you want to start at A and you don't even want to get to Z, okay. I applaud your effort and I appreciate you showing up, but you gotta want to get from A to Z. You can't just want to get from A, B, C, D, and when you get around like maybe L, and you're like, I'm just gonna stop. Like, you don't want to do that. You got to have a vision of getting yourself from A to Z. So when you see guys like Jones wanting to better their careers, I don't see him on a competitive aspect being able to really go anywhere. So I'm sure the UFC and him are going to figure out something else. But like I said, even if he does go, the UFC probably loses more money by him going than by them just agreeing or at least renegotiating something where he feels he's getting a little more of his value. Because here's the thing. Jones's last couple fights, everyone was kind of like, he looked kind of human. So they want to, if I were in his position, I'd be like, okay, maybe it might be time for me to maybe look at something else. Maybe I can make a bunch of little money real quick and then be done and out with it and enjoy my life. But if he goes somewhere else, he's going to just have all that fan base that are going to watch that card that he's on. They're going to watch all that fight that he does, even if it's a fucking 30-second fight. And they're going to be like, dude, told you Jones would dominate anywhere. Yeah, okay. What if I go into a karate school and just be like, I identify as a 6-year-old and I want to take on your toughest toddlers? Like, I'm going to kick all their butts too. So you have to take it with a grain of salt in the aspect that if he goes somewhere, the UFC stands to lose more money because that organization will put a fight on with Jones headlining on the same fucking night as the next UFC card. And when they go head to head like that, people will watch that show just to watch Jones fight. And the UFC will lose views because they'll do it, God, if they're smart, they'll do it in the same goddamn state or in the same town. Do it in Vegas on the same night. Do it the same night the UFC's having a pay-per-view in Vegas. You'll lose viewers. Do it at the same time. You'll lose viewers just because they want to watch Jones fight. Or they'll steam it and stream it, whatever. But that's a variable in which you can't really consider in the equation. So I think in the long run, they'll probably pay him what he feels he's worth, or at least they'll make some happy compromise, at least to what he thinks it's worth. McGregor, Conor, that guy... Fuck, dude, that guy's making so much stupid fucking money that you guys might not even know about. Like Dana, he mentioned the whiskey thing. Dude, that guy's made so much money on that. Now, they have sold a shitload. Now, granted, they've sold a shitload, but that doesn't tell me how much of that whiskey is flying off the shelves at liquor stores. You know what I mean? Like, they might have sold a crap load of it, but it could still be sitting on shelves at liquor stores, at the Bevmo, at the Johnny Quick. It could still be sitting on the shelf collecting dust. So he may or may not be making a bunch of money on that. I imagine he is making a bunch of money because I imagine once those bottles are sold, regardless of whether those vendors sell those bottles or not, I imagine he already gets his money. So he's still making hand over fist. He doesn't have to fight. So when Conor says he's going to retire, yeah, it could be a tactic. It could just be him wanting attention. I'm actually really, really surprised that they weren't able to put a fight together for him because he dominated Donald Cerrone. And I would have loved to see a fight against just about anybody at 170. Like anybody that is in like the top 3 or 5, like let him fight them. Who cares about GSP and that stuff? And the Khabib fight, it would have happened if it was going to happen or whatnot. But now he's fighting Justin, so that's back up in the air. So I can imagine Conor wants high-profile fights because he wants to stay relevant. Well, the Donald one got him back on the mainstream and on the W column in a positive manner. He looked good. He sounded humble. He sounded correct. He was doing everything awesome. I was super impressed. Which again, I'm a fan. to Connor, Jones, these kind of guys, my opinion doesn't really matter. It's just that of a lame. It's just that of a perspective from the outside. There doesn't matter whether or not they care about what I think. So, but to see a guy like Connor say he's going to retire, it's not a hey, look at me thing. It's just more of I think he's just fucking with everyone. I think we're going to see him in the WWE like in a week or so. Probably if this whole retirement thing actually goes through. I mean, Cejudo retired after his last fight, and he was on like the next WWE show I saw, like running behind. Oh, don't even forget, it was him, Vitor Belfort, Tyson was on there, and don't get me wrong, Tyson's a fucking beast and a badass. But I'd rather see Tyson doing real life fight stuff, like squaring off against an actual opponent, not the written stuff, which I'm just the on the fly stuff for him just wasn't working. Like he didn't feel like he looked comfortable and natural in that setting. Because he's been in movies before. He's a great actor. He's an accomplished actor. He's done film, so he can do acting perfectly fine and have a great time doing it. But that particular like whatever scenario the WWE sets up over there, it just didn't look comfortable for him. So I don't see him going that route, and I think they're going to realize that too. But you saw Cejudo back there, so I imagine you'll see Connor in the same kind of fashion soon. Provided this retirement thing is real, I could genuinely see him going through with that because the WWE will pay him fucking stupid money. And I think he's way more popular than Ronda Rousey. So to see him go to the WWE or F or whatever it's called now, I think he'd make way more money in a year than he would make in 5 years with, like, say, the UFC just on purses. I mean, he'd have to be taking like just super fights, not the Donald Cerrone fights, not even like a Ferguson fight because I don't think anybody really wants to see that fight anyway. But like a Khabib fight, GSP is obviously out of the question. But a Gaethje or a Khabib fight I could see. So, I mean, it's him not wanting to be shelved, too, while we wait for the Khabib-Gaethje fight to play itself out because he'll probably get the winner of that if they offer it to him. But it's him sitting on the shelf. The Cerrone fight was a while ago. Cerrone fight was back in, like, what, March, I think? Like, just before C19 hit. So he's been on the sidelines for a little while, so he probably wants to fight. And he probably wants to get paid more money. I mean, it's hard to know what's going on in that fucking guy's head. Sometimes you just want to try to wrap yourself around it and just wonder what he's going to be doing to you next. But honestly, I don't know what's in Connor's head. If Connor says he's going to retire, this is like, what, the second, third time he's done it now? I don't know, dude. Retirement doesn't even seem like a fucking word for these guys anymore. You've got, what's his name? Gustafsson. He's coming out of retirement to move up to heavyweight. So now, hear me out. UFC keeps Jones by giving him a heavyweight fight against Gustafsson, in which none of us agree with because he dominated him in their rematch like I expected him to. So Jones is up 2-0, so what would be the point of that? But why else would Gustafsson announce, I'm coming out of retirement to fight at heavyweight? Who is there really for him to fight that's worth coming out of retirement, which, like I said, it's like these guys throw the word retirement around like some 15-year-old love-struck puppy boy throws the word I love you around or something to his girl. He's like, oh, God, I love you. Fuck, you're 15, you don't know what love is. Stop it. You retired 4 times. Shut up. So when I see all these multiple retirements and people coming out of retirement and stuff, it just makes me scratch my head. Like, what the fuck? Like, what part of retired don't you understand? Like, if you're not ready to stop fighting and just stop fighting, don't make a retirement announcement. I don't care if I get beat up. You look silly. You look like some boyfriend and girlfriend who goes on social media and goes, oh, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you did that. And just airing your dirty laundry online on social media for everybody. And then like a week later, it's like, oh, we can't wait. We're so happy. We're pregnant or some stupid shit like that. So that's how you look, at least in my, my opinion, which I'm just a jackass with a mic. So in my opinion, when you retire, more than once, mind you, stop it, Connor. When you retire and then you come out of retirement, like, I don't know, man. There's certain exemptions. Like if you come out of retirement for an exhibition match, it's for some event, or it's some huge fucking payday, and you're like, yeah, I'll come out of retirement for that fight, dude. They're gonna pay me like $1.2 million. I'm taking that fucking fight. Okay, I get it. Make your money. But when you just come out of retirement and you don't really make a large announcement about a big payoff fight that you're going to be doing or something, or it ends up being just some rumble rumor where you were thinking about, it's like, what are you talking about it for? Anyway, you broke before. You quit. You decided you were done. Be done. Like, be done. Or don't retire to begin with. If you want to take some time off, then just say, I'm going to take some time off. Mr. McGregor, are you retiring? No, I'm going to take some time off. I got a baby. I got a shitload of money. I got a whiskey. I got a wife. I got legal problems. I'm going to take some time off. Probably going to take the rest of the year off, which is totally his prerogative. And then you come back. But you don't go out and say, I'm going to retire. And then the first time it's like they dangle a carrot in your face. If it's not even really a juicy carrot, it's like, oh, I'm out of retirement again. Whoa. Oh, I need the money. Well, we've all been down that road. I can understand. I can totally sympathize with that perspective too of, oh, I need the money. You know, if somebody came to me tomorrow and said, hey, Cole, we're going to give you 10 grand to fight in like 6 weeks. Where? So it's all in everyone's perspective. But retire. Stick with it. Just decide you want to be done fighting. And just, if you want to retire, dude, cool, retire. We all got to stop sometime. If anything, sooner than better for some of us. Because you don't want to be all fucking, okay? I love Diego Sanchez. So, you know, you got to know when it's time to retire, but at least stick to it. Don't pull the back and forth stuff, let alone 3, 4. God damn it, Connor. So I don't know. I think it's just going to be, he's going to try to get some money. He's going to move on, or he might really be done, but we will see him in the WWE. If he's really done with fighting, that's the last we see of him fighting this Sobe, but that is not the last form of entertainment sports we're going to see Conor McGregor in. He will end up in the WWE. There's just too much money to be made. You know, maybe he goes over to Japan. They do something fun with him over there. I mean, they had Mark Coleman ride a banana. They do those old school ads were fucking crazy. I mean, they had guys like Mark Coleman, Randy Couture, just doing crazy shit in Japan. You know, Dan Henderson did crazy stuff because it's what sold over there. Fighters were huge over there. Bob Sapp, Jesus Christ, they threw that guy in everything. But it's just all in perspective. So, and like I said, guys, jackass with a mic doesn't really make a difference. I'm just trying to share what my decade of experience and understanding of the intertwinings of it kind of were. And that may be way out of base with what's going on now. Times change, corporations change, fight game changes. But from what I've gathered from fighters I still talk to these days and who I see at the fights when I go do commentary and stuff, not much has changed. Fighters are still getting paid shitty. Fighters are still getting booed by promoters. They're getting booted. It's just the same. It's just the same. There's just now more money to be made. There's more presence. There's a bigger platform to put yourself on. Dollar bills, y'all. This is the whole game. Nobody gets into the fight game because they're like, oh, I like getting punched. All right, Jethro, we'll see you on the undercard for a while, and then you'll go nowhere. Most people get into the sport because they, A, like competition, B, they probably like fighting. They're probably okay with it, and they're probably good at it. But the number one, Pinky, the number one reason that most fighters, at least in my experience, like 95 of them get involved in fighting is for money. Because you can make shitloads of it. To just go punch some dude in the face. Like, how fucking crazy is that? But you have to be good at it. You have to be self-marketing. You have to be able to be brandable. You can't just put yourself out there every day and do goofy shit or be weird or post videos every day and say, like, it's good, but you have to be a brand that you can sell. You can't just flood the market with stuff and expect it to catch. That's just like, yeah, you reel it out enough times, you're going to catch a fish. I get it. It's numbers, but it's a shelf life game too, the fight game. You're only going to be able to do it for so long. So you have to remember that. But before we cut you guys loose, last couple things. Stipe and DC3, to my understanding, has been announced. So we're going to get to see that trilogy, which I guess they gave DC the fight he wanted. That was the fight he said, I'll get that fight or I'll retire. And then he just kind of kicked back. He didn't say, oh, I retire or anything. He was just like, oh, I'm going to kick back and see what happens. I'm going to get what I want. In the meantime, I'm just going to train. I'm going to do seminars, shit like that, but I'm going to make my money. Looks like he got his fight. So this will most likely, at least the way I see it, it'll probably be his last fight. Win or lose, he's going to get that trilogy, that rubber match, and it's going to get him. He's going to get paid. You know. Other than that, it was UFC 250 over the weekends, guys. If you saw him, you saw Garbrandt did a monster last-second knockout, dude, of Rafael Suano, dude. That was gross. And then the knockout against Weiland by Sean O'Malley, like. Has anyone tested him yet? Has he peed dirty yet? Anyone find that out? Let me know. Has he peed dirty yet? And the kid's good. The kid's good. He's what, 9-0, 10-0 now, I think. He's 10-0 with that victory over Wineland. And I've got to feel bad for Wineland, bro. I mean, we're rocking the same mustache. You know, his is a boss, mine is a baby. But I thought I picked Wineland to win that one, mostly just because of his experience level on that one. When I did our picks, I went with Wineland. I had a couple of my friends were like, "You going to go with Wineland against Mallory?" I was like, "Yeah." I go, the kid's been kind of up and down. He hasn't dirty a lot. He hasn't really got any consistency, no momentum. I just think he's trying to find his place and like get that fucking momentum going, and he has now. Now, I expect to see Sean in a very tough fight, his next fight, where he will be challenged, and I think he'll probably step up to it because that was a sweet uppercut fake right. That was a beautiful combo by Malley. So I expect more things good out of him. But like I said, guys, I picked Wineland based on his experience. Way more fights, tough competition. I felt Malley was just kind of up and down enough to where he would, you know, Wineland's got stones. He's got stones for hands. Bro hits hard. So just not his day. Other than that, you've got the Stipes being announced. Fight Island got announced. That's going to happen. They're gonna be doing Fight Island, guys. So get ready for that. Once I get more information on that, I will let you know. Other than that, guys, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Tell your friend's sister. Tell your friend's parents. Tell your friend's uncle, grandparents, whoever. Tell everyone. Tell them to come check it out. Subscribe. Tell me who you'd like to have on. Hit me up. Hit me up on my Facebook. Hit us up on our Fighter's Voice. Send it to it. Doesn't matter. DM me. Send me. Who do you want to see interviewed? Who would you like to see on the show? Remember, this is the Fighter's Voice, but it's a voice for you, the fans. The fans have a voice too. Without your guys' voice, fighters wouldn't have anyone to fight for. You guys are the reason that they're fighting. You guys are the reason we're doing interviews and stuff. So hit us up. Let us know who would you like to see on. We'll hunt them down. We'll do what we got to do. We got a network. We'll try to get them on the show for you. Other than that, we'll keep bringing you content, guys. Rich, we wish you a speedy recovery, man. Rich should be back next week, guys, running the ship, running the show. You know how he flows. So other than that, guys, remember, this is the Fighter's Voice, and every fighter has a voice, and so do you. Thumbs up for Richie, guys. Thanks for watching.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.